I'm here with Bob Chicerillo, IFBB Men's Athlete Rep and IFBB Pro.
That's me.
That's you, man.
That's me.
Dude, I love your story. I was trying to figure out how many times you had gone to national level shows before you got your pro card. And I deal with this, disappointment with competitors a lot in Colorado, but how many is it? Do you even keep count?
It's a while ago now, but I'll give you my story in bullet point fashion. I came up quick. Actually, I'll take you all the way back. Me and Sean Ray actually competed against each other in the
What year?
In the '85 Teenage Nationals. Wow. He ended up beating me and winning the title, which I'm still pissed about.
I was gonna say.
'86, I go to the Junior Nationals. It was my first men's open show. That was in Niagara Falls, which is in kind of sort of my neck of the woods. Didn't make the cut. Nothing, just boom, right out. And I won like every teenage show I'd ever entered. So I mean, to me, it was like a
What? Yeah.
Trained all year, came back in '87, Toledo, Ohio, won the entire Junior Nationals. Now that's that kind of put me on the map. So next thing you know, I'm on cover shots, and I'm that type of shot, and I'm getting getting some play nationally. Keep in mind this is before Al Gore invented the internet and all that stuff. So it was all by magazine. Of course, we kept up with the times. Went to the '87 Nationals. That was my debut. Took fifth right out of the blocks. You might remember that one. Phil Hill won the super. It wasn't no supers actually at the time. Heavies.
That's right.
Sean Ray won the light heavies. Won the entire show again. He was off to the pros. Now back then, it's not like this easy passing we got working now with the pro cards. You had to win the entire show, or it was a pat on the back and a see you next year. So came back in '88. Took a third. '89, I took second. So I was right there.
Right there.
Took another. Took a fourth at the North Americans, fourth at the Nationals. So I was right there. Yeah, that's already five already.
Yeah.
We competed a lot back then. Plus, I was the guy. I mean, I was the Great White Hope. All that kind of stuff. Everything with the planets were aligned. I was the next guy. Articles were getting written, and then everything started to kind of went over the crest, and here it goes over. It's like a big roller coaster going downhill. Then I probably did the one mistake that I regret to this day. I started changing stuff because I wasn't winning. I'm close. I was in the top 5 in the mix.
Wow.
But I started making changes.
So you started making changes like your diet, your training,
everything. Training was pretty much the same. So we pretty much all followed the same protocol back then. But more diet, more contest prep, and all that kind of stuff. We had to make change because I wasn't winning. So I figured, well, let's change things up. And you ask for an inch, you get a mile sometimes. So all of a sudden, 1990, I was still in the mix. I can't remember what I finished in there, but again, somewhere in the top 5.
So up to 6 or 7 now.
91, 92, still 91, I think the Nationals is one of the toughest Nationals to this day, actually regarded. That was one in Pittsburgh, I believe it was, with, Flex Wheeler, Paul DeMeo, Kevin Levrone, myself, Chris Cormier, Matt Mendenhall, Ronnie Coleman, you might remember him. It was 4th place. So, again, that was 90, so 92, all of a sudden I was like, 6, and then, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, wow. So that roller coaster.
10-year period right there.
It started just, like I said, every show I was getting further and further away from the brass ring. And every time we tried changing something, I was better off when I didn't know nothing.
How did you do it up here? How did you stay with it?
That was the toughest part.
I mean, that really is the test of an athlete.
I tell you this, that was difficult. It was more difficult to mentally, to get out of that mode of, because it was like the here we go again type of thing, And I'd be looking good right up to about, thank you. Little phone action there, probably Jim Mannion, but
probably Jim Mannion.
He can wait. And the mental aspect was the tough part because I could get all the way up to 3 days, and I'd look great. I mean, I'd sit in front of the house from. The land of Jim Rockell, who was head judging even back then, so I'd have him take a look at me. We'd be at Wednesday, before the show. Look great, don't do nothing, don't change nothing. Just put the tan on and go, man, great. I get to the show and smoothed over, holding water, I'm not so sure to this day if it wasn't more mental than physical because it became an epidemic. Every single time, here we go again, it's that kind of thing. So it was that was a tough run.
What turned it around that last show?
Well, what broke me out is, 2 things. In '98, I got ready for the USA. Blew my back out playing baseball, of all things.
Oh.
Yeah, forget bodybuilding. Forget the 400-pound rows and the 600-pound squats, stuff like that. Baseball. We had a team from the gym, softball for years. I've been an athlete for years in different sports. And, blew it out with a nice big home run swing. to the point that I actually needed to get surgery. So it actually broke.
So you fused a couple?
It broke off the disc in half, and it lodged into the nerve channel. So instead of getting the great pain, I mean, it wasn't pleasant, but I didn't have a great amount of pain. It was such lodged in there that it was like taking a hose and kinking it.
Yeah.
There's no signal, no water getting through, no signal getting through. So my whole left leg was just kind of like there was no signal getting there. So nothing was going to respond to training. Going to walk with that little limp like you see the old guys doing and all that. And I was like, nah. So I had basically one choice, and that was to get it, surgically fixed and to fuse my spine together, which I did. I didn't really have a choice, which is probably a good thing. So that was in '98. Basically took some time off. Not a lot, though. I came back in '99 and got ready for the '99 Nationals, which now I finally put all the tools together. Got the help of my good friend George Farah, who now everybody knows is a guru, but back then we were just friends from the gym.
Yeah.
But George was always very knowledgeable, and he's like, look, man, you got all the tools. Why don't we team up? And, this is the days before gurus came around. Gurus, I like that, with the guys floating on air up at the, the mountaintop.
Somebody needs that brand.
Yeah. So
that brand for George.
So we put our efforts together, and I always give credit to George where it's due, because he knew his stuff, and he's like, look, let's kind of go back to basics. We've gotten so far ahead of ourselves in terms of knowledge and all that kind of stuff. Let's go back to what used to work for you. And we did. We went back to a lot of basic stuff. Long story longer, 99 Nationals came, ended up in second place. I was down a little bit in weight because of the surgery, so I had like 8 weeks of inactivity, which I had missed 8 weeks of my life, let alone in a row, that I had to take off after. But, you had to be smart about it. But never squatted again, never did bent overs again. I had to be smart about it, of course.
Right.
And didn't need it either. And I actually pioneered a bunch of articles after that point about what you didn't need to do in the gym. Because we all grew up old school. Got to squat, got to do bent overs, got to do this, got to bench, got to do that. And my philosophy was you don't have to do anything. All you have to do is what works. There ain't no bench press round on stage. They don't weigh you in on stage.
Nope.
All the judges do is see what they see. So came close. I mean, I got good. Went in there.
It's like a boost of confidence since you've been down.
Huge. I needed that. I needed to get back on the map. But took second place with my friend King Kamali, who ended up winning the class, and then he went on to his pro card. Then it was interesting because I was getting some feedback that I should basically wait till next year's Nationals. And I was like, you know what? First of all, I always wanted the USA title. That was always important to me. Not that it really mattered at that point. Pro card's a pro card. But I wanted that title, Secondly, I thought I was ready. I was like, you know what? I'm down, I was in this was in the heavyweights now at the Nationals. Because, again, I was down about 15 pounds from my normal. So I was able to kind of squeak into the class just under the cap at like 224. But my normal weight would have been about 10 pounds heavier, maybe 15 pounds heavier, which would have put me in the supers. So I says, look, I'm just going to continue on. But, to all the people that wanted me to go to the Nationals, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to USA. If I ain't ready now, it ain't never going to happen.
Yeah.
And that's what we did. Got ready for the USA, which was in Vegas, right here where we are. I'll be on that same stage tonight. That'll be kind of cool.
That is cool.
Put it all together. Ended up weighing in about 233. And the rest is history, man. Won the super heavyweights, the overalls, and the big elephant was off the back, brother.
I know. That's got to be tough. But
Jim Mannion, this is a true story. You'll love this one. Jim Mannion appeared out of the wings. He had a nice light gray suit on, I believe it was, the whole thing. He's got the big trophy there, and they announced me as the winner. And I come out, and Jim puts the trophy down, shakes my hand, and says, hey, congratulations, kid, you did a nice job. Don't touch the suit.
Well, the other thing, though, I do know about Jim is I'd have to say he was probably almost as happy as you were.
Just to get rid of me. Yeah, yeah.
That alone.
I never got more accolades from judges saying, thank God, we're so sick of judging you with the Nationals.
This guy.
Well, it was one of those things.
Really, I mean, he really is excited and advocates for the athletes, as do you. And, when you've seen somebody that close for so long, you're just rooting for him every time.
It's funny you say that, Jeff, because I got a lot of that. Like, there was a lot of genuine outpouring from judges and officials. I mean, because I had known these people for years, and
13 years then is the
13
span,
years
right?
was a span between the time I made my national debut,
first national show,
and the time I actually got my pro card. Interestingly, if you want to bet some numbers here in Vegas on the roulette wheel tonight, took me 13 years to get my pro card. 13 years from the day I won my card, I'm back on stage tonight hosting the show.
Wow.
So 13.
Dang it, I wish it was July 13th.
Black. 13 black is the number I'm betting tonight, brother.
In 2013.
That's right. So I'll be, Mr. Lindsay, I'm hosting a whole lot of shows now, as you know.
Mm-hmm.
But invited me to host this year. So the first time a former Mr. USA we'll host the USA's.
That is cool. Dude, congratulations, man.
Thank
It's a
you.
great story, and you know what? The thing about it is, for competitors out there, it's like, don't give up. Really,
That's the key.
If you're really an athlete, you take your lumps and you move on, and you do what you can to improve each
Well,
time.
here's the key, and I've been telling athletes this for years. You know, my story, yeah, is kind of self-explanatory. Don't give up. Don't stop following your dream. Just because somebody else tells you can't do it, maybe you ain't got it, or maybe your time has passed, or whatever, it means nothing. Now, you have to have the tools, obviously. You've got to have the basics and all that stuff, which I always did. I always had what it took. I just needed to put it all together at the same time. But I didn't give up, and there was plenty of obstacles along the way. I mean, we're bullet pointing here for interview purposes. There was 1,000 things that happened between A and B. I mean, I had to work a real job. That was something that, I don't know, unheard of in this industry. But, people say, what'd you do all those years? I'd say I worked, How about that? I had a job, I owned my own gym. We ran a limo service. We had all kinds of jobs. I was in the police force for 3 years. I had all kinds. I was an American Gladiator for a year.
Oh, yeah, I remember. That's right.
So I got all kinds of stuff I did. But, you had to make a living back then. But, yeah, follow your dreams, follow it. But the key is every show you go to, you got to learn something. Good or bad, If you're going to follow somebody, follow them all the way through. I see too many athletes now. They have a coach, guru, whatever you want to call them. They follow some of it, and then they kind of do their own stuff. Well, I know what my body needs.
Right.
And strangely enough, their body always needs peanut butter. Never needs a chicken breast at 3 in the morning. It always needs something junky or carb related. I'm sure it's just a coincidence. But follow it. Even if you follow it and you find out it doesn't work, then you found that out.
You figured it out, and you make note of that.
You know that what doesn't work now. So yes, you did learn something, but you have to go to a show, and you've got to learn something from it. That's the key to moving on and moving up. Simple.
It's pretty simple.
Yeah.